Well, hello and welcome back to Burnley Palace for yet another episode of We're Not Dead Yet, the cooking show for the apocalypse, where today's special dish is Nasi Goreng. Obviously, your first ingredient for Nasi Goreng is your nasi. Your nasi, of course, is your rice. You could probably get a 1 kilogram bag from the supermarket, or maybe even a 2 kilogram bag if you're feeling, a little bit flamboyant. We've gone for the appropriate apocalypse bag. The 5 kilogram motherfucker. This is the kind of bag that we use for situations like this. First, let's drag our bag over to the rice cooker. Use the legs, use the legs. So, once you've decanted your 5 kilogram bag of rice into several much smaller and easily manageable containers, it's time to put the rice in the rice cooker. Now, we use the Breville Rice Master, but you might just use an ordinary everyday saucepan. The joy of this thing is that whatever you put in rice is whatever you put in water. It's pretty foolproof if you know how to count. If you use a saucepan, you can use the method that my father used to use, which is to put your rice in, level it out, and then put the water in until it's a thumbnail above the level of the rice. Okay? And then all you do is heat it up until the water gets down to the level of the rice, turn it down to low, whack the lid on, and leave it for 17.5 minutes. Apparently that's a very important number. We don't care about this because we have the Breville Rice Master and it does it all automatically. So, what we're going to do, for this, we're going to use 3 cups of rice, which is going to make I think the expression is a shitload. But it'll keep a family of 4 happy for about 2 nights, I would say. Okay, so we've got our 3 cups. We'll add our 3 cups of water. Choice of continuity, we've already put in 2. That was the 3rd. Trust me on that. And for the Breville Rice Master, it's as simple as cook. Which is good because it can do what it's doing while we do all the stuff we need to do at preparation station. So here we are at preparation station. Your rice is going, it's got 17.5 minutes to go. You're not going to need that 17.5 minutes. You've got enough time in maybe, 6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes to chop up all the things you need to chop and get a glass of wine in before it's time to put it all together. First thing you're going to need is a handy onion. So, in this case, it's a case of dicing your onion into handy dice-sized pieces. That's going to go part of the bed of your fried rice, together with some oil, some bacon, and some egg, and a couple of secret ingredients that we'll come along to in a moment when my special cameraman, Ali, yes, I know, this is the old school method used by not very smart waiters, casual employees, but it does get the job done. For those of you who haven't seen it before, it's a case of cutting cross hatches in your onions, and then you get to do the really exciting bit at the end, where you do this bit, where you turn it around this way, and then all of a sudden you've got teeny tiny chopped pieces. I don't always do it this way, but we're in a hurry because we need to get to the wine. So that will do quite a good job. Okay, you've got your onions set. And we can move on to the next ingredient, which will be the garlic. So the garlic, for those of you who are keeping score, we had how many cups of rice? That's right, we had 3. So for each cup of rice, let's have 1 clove of garlic. So for those of you playing along, that's 3 cloves of garlic. So pretty much the same thing. We just chop away and get that ready into a bowl, ready to go for when it's time to start some serious frying. So, if you're like my father and my father's father before him, what you would do from here once you've got your garlic peeled is you'd take your handy chopper, you'd smash it down to bruise, apparently, the garlic, and then chop away finely. But because it's all about the wine, we go straight to the Xylus garlic press. So we're going to pop that in the bowl, ready to go. And so far, it's the perfect vegan meal because we haven't touched any meat. Well, that is all about to change, people. What we're going to have is we're going to have some bacon. In this case, some Rhineless Primo bacon, because pretty much that was all they had at the store after all the panic buying has ceased. So it's a case of as much as you think. I'm going to just use this whole packet because, you know, I can. We're going to use this. We're just going to cut it up into pieces, the kind of size that you would like to see in your fried rice. Think about, you know, when you're eating in a Chinese restaurant and you get, you know, pieces of meat or pieces of vegetables in there. That's the size you want. You might gather from my commentary that there isn't really a very precise recipe here, and you know that's because this recipe is more of an adventure. Okay, this is what we're doing here is a base from which you can go on and explore culinary worlds and decide for yourself what you think the appropriate fried rice is for your household. This is pretty much an apocalypse version, one that'll get you through most cases. But you might want to find that you want to add some tuna to yours. You might want to add some chili to yours. You might want to add chicken. We'll see how we go. Well, there you go. That's pretty much all the chopping that you need to do at this stage, believe it or not. And what that means, and this is important, is that now there is time for wine. This particular wine has an unpronounceable name, but apparently comes from the south of France. We'll, no doubt you'll get the full flavour and aroma on the video. Yes, indeed. But you might be asking, this is not fried rice, this is just a bunch of bowls. That's right, it's time for the magic to come together. And how shall we make this magic? When I went back in time to look at my father's recipe and look at the way that he and his father and his father's father before him made fried rice, it occurred to me that perhaps we could fuck all that and we could just get out the fry pan and do it properly. Yep, the fry pan's how you do it in the Troutmeyer household and get things done quick. If you're doing this and you're coming home from work, you've got your rice on, you've done your chopping, you can actually get a start straight away now, even before the rice is finished, because what you can do is start frying up the bed of what the rice is going to go into, and you want that to not only heat up but dry out a bit so that you get the full flavour before you add your rice. So we'll get a start on that now. First we'll start with some oil. For those of you wondering how much oil, no idea, it's about that much. I don't know, what's that? Tablespoon? Anybody?
2.
There we go. Right, so as that heats up, the next thing is going to be our onions. But first of all, maybe some red wine. Right, let's get that onion goodness going. Thank you, Sam, who's probably really just saying not Nasi Goreng again.
It's just featured in the video now.
So this is the bit where you crank up and suddenly everybody gets hungry because they can smell the onion. There might be now occasional stops for wine along the way, and things might get slightly less coherent from here.
Does the camera woman get a glass of wine?
Okay, well now our camera person, Ali Field, has some wine, and now not only may it not be more coherent, it might be just a little bit wobbly from here on in. So we better get a move on. So when last we cut, we had some onion. Now it's adding in the bacon. Making sure that's all chopped up. We want to get this cooked before we get our rice in. So what we want to do is, if we can, get our onions browned, get our bacon just a slight tinge of browning, as much as the bacon ever browns, before we add our next ingredient. And our next ingredient is one of our 2 secret ingredients for the basic fried rice. Okay, it's not something that you would necessarily expect to find in an Asian food stuff. Have a look at this. When I first moved out of home and I made this for my housemate, and I told her about the hamper corned beef as a secret ingredient, I think it's fair to say that she gagged. And that's fair enough when you see what it looks like when it comes out. But trust me on this, when this thing is cooked and that corned beef is inside your fried rice, you're going to understand why it's a secret ingredient and why it has to be in every fried rice you ever cook from now on. It's an interesting, like 13th century opening mechanism, the sort of thing that they would have used in Antarctica, I'm pretty sure. Okay, make your own mind up about what this looks like. Yes, corned beef goodness. There we go. Trust me, it gets better from here. If this is really too much for you, you can do it the hard way. You can make up your own beef. You can make up, if you don't like beef, you could probably put in a base of chicken. What this does is this adds a salty taste along with the bacon, which is going to be offset with the sweetness that you're going to get from the second ingredient, ketchup mayonnaise. That's the secret ingredient. Probably should have told you that a bit later on. Now I've ruined the surprise. That's the other secret ingredient, ketchup mayonnaise. Ketchup is actually an Indonesian word from which we get the American word ketchup, and it just means sauce. So it's just a sweet sauce. It's a sweet soy sauce. It's quite thick, and that's going to give a very sweet flavour on top of the salty flavour you're going to get on your corned beef. Now our rice is now moved into the warming stage. It was actually clicked into that stage while we were doing the baking, so we know that that's ready. But what we're going to do just before we do that is we're going to let this dry out. As you can see, it's quite fluid here. We want to get a drier look out of this before we chuck the rice in. So we'll let that go for just a little bit. Yeah, possibly we could have some wine in that time. Yes. Oh yes. Okay, something that will help it along with this process of drying out is the eggs, surprisingly enough. I know that sounds a bit odd, given that they're fluid, but this is what they do. We're going to put in 3 eggs. That's not a scientific measure, that's just basically how many eggs we had left in the carton before the panic buying. So, cut that in, mix that in. As you can see, that's immediately changing the consistency of the bed that we're going to use to put our fried rice in. What's that I hear you say? Where's that garlic? Very, very perceptive. All right. If you had the chopper and the bruise method, now's the time to just like flick it into the mix. If you've got a garlic press, just press it away like so. We'll add that in and get that garlic taste running through the entire mix. I'm just about ready to start thinking about some rice, although of course we also need to think about some wine. So now it's rice time, and without further ado, okay, there you go. Also another reason why the Rice Master is such a useful item. Try doing that with a saucepan at home. Okay, let's get our rice out. There we go. For those of you playing at home, how much rice do we have? That's right, 3 cups. And 3 cups of water to go with it. So far you've had your rice, you've had your onion, you've had your bacon, you've had your corned beef, you've had your egg, and we've just added the rice, and we're going to mix it up, and all of a sudden it's starting to look familiar. Okay, Okay, so what we have here now is what I call like the bed of the fried rice, and that's because this is where you can start from. Once you've gone through this process, and what's it taken us now? It's taken about 10 minutes. This is where you can then experiment and throw in whatever you want to throw in. Now, right at the moment, in Burnley Palace, we happen to have a hankering for adding some corn kernels in. But you might have your own ideas about the things that you might want to throw in to the mix. In the past, we've certainly gone with tuna, we've certainly gone with chicken. Anything that you'd put in a pizza, with a possible exception of pineapple.
Green vegetables?
Green vegetables, yes. Bean sprouts. Very small broccoli florets. It's an experimentation process, and some things will work and some things won't. This just happens to be a favourite of ours at the moment. And two things that you will need are straight soy and sweet soy. That's the ketchup mayonnaise, the secret ingredient that we were talking about earlier. How much do you need? Well, that's a very good question. Keep that camera rolling because we're not measuring. It's basically this much. There you go, that much soy, and about this much sweet soy. The sweet soy is the important one. The straight soy will give it a very familiar salty soy flavour that you're probably quite familiar with. The sweet soy, not so much. Sweet soy is your secret ingredient. That's the one that's going to offset the salt that you've put in from the other ingredients. And that's the one that's going to have people saying, "Can I have some more, please?" At this stage, I really should thank the cameraman, or camera woman, camera person, camera operator, Ali Field, who has managed to put up with this process without getting smashed and while staying vertical. That's very impressive.
It's just managed to make it to the end.
All right then, so pretty much ready to go now, and if you've been following along, you'll notice it's taken about as long as it took the rice to cook, plus about 2, maybe 3 minutes. Or for those of you who've been paying very close attention to the continuity, it's taken about a glass and a half of wine. And for those of you who know how fast I drink, that's not very long at all. Excuse me. So, if I'd had more, not time, but more, what do you call it? If I was less of a boy, I would have made a salad by now, or possibly some vegetables. But as I am a boy, and as this is merely a cooking tutorial,
and your usual vegetable chef is behind the camera,
and because my usual vegetable chef is behind the camera, this is essentially what we've got. Some fried rice, some Nasi Goreng, ready for you to eat, ready for you to enjoy. That's it. Thank you very much for joining us on Not Dead Yet. Next week we're going to make pad thai with only with toilet rolls. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.